So this is Christie's code, like soul mission code. And Christie, what we can see is that this sort of couple, like cupola or dome, is also creating a type of egg. And within that contained form, there is many different forms of writing. Well, actually, it's the same language. It's a very specific pattern of language, which is connected to the first Arabic founder civilizations. Let me just go into the StreamYard also so that I can see any question. Okay, so now, okay, as I was saying, in this code, we see that there is a connection with that Arabic, like the first Arabic civilizations. We can say founders. We can even go all the way to the Sufis, which is very interesting. Because the Sufis, I don't know if you are aware of that. Thank you, Christy. What the Sufis monks, what they have told us about what they are involved, who they are, is these monks that now they have adopted the Muslim. They are Muslims. They have adopted the Islamic religion. Well, actually, they are not Muslims, but they have adopted the Islamic religion as an exchange for keeping and preserving their customs as the religious customs. The Sufis are monks the ones that dance the briche, which is this sort of spinning in their own axis. And as they spin, they are unfolding their own geometrical body, and then they can reach big levels of connection to the source. So that's one aspect. However, when we ask ourselves, where did the Sufis monks come from? Well, then it will lead us to, let's say, and that's what I say, Arabic. I didn't say Kemetic, I didn't say, like ancient Egypt. I said Arabic. And if we tune into there, then we can see that they have a lot of connection with the etheric beings that live in the desert. And those etheric beings are currently known as jinn. And those, before going into that shadowy aspect as how they are mostly considered, before the last cataclysm, they were actually just guardians and protectors of very specific areas where they got trapped. When did they got trapped? After the last cataclysm, when the artificial matrix was created in order to give time for the primordial matrix to regenerate. I talk about this in other videos, so if you want to tune into what I'm saying, perhaps you want to watch other videos. But I'm just now mentioning as a point of reference. So in that moment, those etheric guardians, which are actually quite connected to the ET founder races here in planet Earth, that's where they got trapped, and when that shadow aspect of them began. So they are quite connected to the ETs, the etheric ETs that actually come from very specific planets or constellations, like Orion. They are also known as the Shining Ones, or also even from Saturn. And I'm talking about Saturn, not again as we know that negative part that yes, exactly. Thank you, Patricia. Thank you, beautiful. So then again, when we talk about Saturn, I'm talking about that Saturn version before the last cataclysm, because Saturn is a super powerful planet. So now that's why it has always been used to anchor very specific information and sustain very specific matrices, like the primordial matrix. So when the artificial matrix, everything was created, everything shifted, and they started using Saturn on that aspect. So I'm just mentioning this because with what I see in your code, in your soul mission code, is a deep connection with these etheric beings. You have deep codes, desert codes, and that you are actually, one of your missions that I see is restore, let's say, well, more than, it's everything about restoring. But when I say restore, it is about connecting with that purity of those codes that reside within you in relation to these etheric beings. So by you generating a lot of wholeness within you, you can actually help those consciousness to restore themselves and actually at some point free themselves from the imprisonment of the artificial matrix, and then as guardians start restoring actually through all those etheric threads the greed, the primordial greed. Of course, this is progressively, because it is a major mission. But what in your mission, in your soul, there is this imprint that actually you can even use a lot of magic, to say it somehow, and at some point use that magic to, with a very specific knowledge of how these forces work. Unfortunately, like through Solomon and so forth, we have known that, they have like another kind of very powerful of magic has been used in relation to those beings. However, this is an invitation of a counterpart, going on the other side, not any more imprisonment, So, but then again, as I said, it's a process because you cannot just free them immediately because there are layers to cleanse, layers to cleanse. And the more accurate and effective that you are, actually these forces as your guardians and as guardians of the earth will start to restore themselves as pillars in very specific points that and perhaps you don't remember right now, or and that you will be remembering with very specific precision. So that's one thing, because also those points, once you start to open to that information, then you will start creating the bridge of communication with one of the ET races that have been already projecting to you a lot of information for you to translate, So, and now you might ask yourself, okay, now what to do with that information? We are seeders. We are all seeders. We keep on sitting joy through our smiles, sitting consciousness through our words, through our actions, and so forth. So when you do it from more like higher level of awareness, then you're capable to imprint that primordial knowledge through your words, through your codes. Through your codes, you already do it, but like find how everything comes together, So that's one aspect. So I'm sorry if I don't answer right away the messages in the chat. I have to be full screen to see the code and continue. Okay, so now we see that all these blue letters that I was saying that they are quite related to let's know that every ancient or old language is derives from founder language. So, for instance, when we talk about Arabic, we're talking about letters that are in motion, in comparison to the one that we use today, which is like very segmented. So, the Arabic shows to us motion where from the right to left, like the Aramaic, like the other ancient writings, like even the one that Dot or Tehuti used, or other cosmic languages. They are used from the right to the left. Why? Because it is going in the direction going inner in direction to our heart, and that's one aspect. And it is going in motion to expand our heart. And this is the case with you. For instance, if you see, there are here four in the center. There are four letters, and actually, like we could say, like the Templar cross, and like each one with four letters, each one of them of the directions with one, the four petals with one letter. So what does this letter represent? These letters represent the four pillars that actually sustain your reality. You have very specific principles that no matter what, you will sustain and you will keep. And those four principles have actually helped you to overcome difficult situations that you have gone through throughout your life. And now those four pillars need to go to the next level. And what would the next level be? When you start releasing any deeper inner stiffness that there could be in your relationship with yourself, and actually allow that motion to be, and perhaps this is a very literal form or very analogical way to relate it, but if you shift the pillars from direction, the one that is in the north, put it in the south, the one that is in the east, put it in the west, and you will ask yourself, but wait, isn't that going to move my whole reality? Isn't it going to generate an opposite effect? And now you can ask yourself, in what moment of your life you are at now that perhaps you need that motion just to play. And actually, even the combination of what you establish in the north, in the south, in the east, and the west will be different. Why? Because you're not the same person. And even though our, let's say, ethics or the fundamentals in our life remain, when we have something that is really deep into the core of who we are and what we wish to portray or be, however, that motion, that dynamic play, what represents is the capability of adapting. And you have a lot. However, there is a part, like an inner part, where outside you're fully adapting. The inner, it is like it went in another rhythm, and then that generates a kind of it ralentizes, it decreases the synchrony in between what is happening outside and what's happening within. So yeah, for instance, if you want me to go deep in something, or if you have a question, just let me know. Okay. Yeah, I agree, Joshua. Hebrew is also right to left because they come from the Aramaic. and then the Aramaic comes from the Phoenician, and so yeah, it's very interesting how all the countries that in the Occident, they have this form of writing, and those were, we could say, sort of the founders, how they call it, Egypt, Armenia, Afghanistan, and all those places. Anyway, now continuing with the code. Here you will see in the bottom part that there are like, let's say, 4 layers of what we could call as a crescent moon. I mean, as a new moon. And that means that, again, the 4. So we see that the way that most of your reality is constructed is by stages of 4s. Now if you do an introspection throughout your life, you can see like, oh yeah, right, like important stages in your life, if you start to just like order them, like from this age to this age, okay, one, like the most important is, oh, okay, there are 4. Okay, who are the most important persons in my life? Oh, okay. What are the like the 3 fundaments that that base my ethics, my morals, and so forth? And like continuously like that. And this now in the case of these new moons, what it means is that you are quite connected to the moon, and also like really that you are quite connected to the moon, and that, well, actually this could be considered again in between new moon and crescent moon, because some of them are thinner, so it would be in between those 2, like the stage in between those 2. So what does this mean? And having 4, we know that there are like mainly like when you want to complete, like imagine that this code, you can like put it holographically, and if you remove those bottom layers, perhaps you will have the full circle, right? Perhaps it's just the crescent moon or the new moon, like just a filament. Who knows? You need to unfold it in order to see whether if it's a full circle lying beyond this egg, what we can call egg, or not. So what does this mean? One of your biggest strengths and actually qualities is keeping the mystery. However, when you keep the mystery to bring that sacredness into the information, that it's not disruptively opened, that expands you. However, when that mystery is put from you to yourself, then you cannot reach to that part that you need to connect deeper within. And there are so many layers, because for instance, of course, I was talking from the very beginning with about the gene, like you can say, okay, why would I, just an example, why would I like to connect with that? There is so much to do, so you can keep it simple. But that's one of actually the rulers, because these figures in the bottom, these silver figures in the bottom, represent the rings that sustain your reality. This is why I was saying new moon, because those are rings. Like it can be everything, but in this reading, I'm talking about that surprise factor, whether it's circle, like crescent moon or anything. Within this reading, the message for you is that they are rings, So now, what could those rings represent? Those rings represent commitments. To whom? To your soul, in different versions of your soul. And of course, I will be sending to you the picture, because here in this part, I need to do it again. Yeah, in this part, there are very specific codes that actually they are inviting you a lot, and I think I said this to you last time, to speak in the dragon language. All of this can be activated through the dragon language. And actually, even this sort of similar to the frequency of those Arabic letters, which were showing that story that I told you about the Sufis and the jinn. This is also related to dragon language. And now you can ask yourself, is there any connection in between dragons and, for instance, Arabs? Well, and we know that, of course, dragons were founders. They were everywhere. Some of them, they're still underground. And their breath, their fiery breath is plasma. And they have a very specific way of communicating themselves through the sound of their voice. So you can actually activate this. What would this activate? There is this, what you see is located in the upper part of your vertebral column, just below the neck, no, I'm sorry, just below the skull, and then all the way to your neck. So let's say that here it begins where your skull ends, and this be above the shoulders, before the rest of the back begins. And so yes, this code is located there in your holographic body, and actually it's part of your source code. And we can see that when I was telling you, practice your dragon language, then you will be activating it. You just need to flow with your heart and with your intuition. So, and then what will it activate? What does that represent? It represents a deeper connection to the dragons, huge, and also a connection that you have as Templar Knight, and guarding your own chalice. And it's related to a very specific power that you have in your sacred waters. And by your sacred waters, I mean in relation to your sacral. You have the capability to create and manifest very rapidly through those sacred waters. However, there was a containment put by lack of information. It's like not completing the full puzzle. So then that omission of the information filled in with the, let's say, distortion of the matrix, and then it resulted into amnesia. It actually, as that connection also to the dragon. So, okay, let's go by parts. We see that connection to the etheric beings that can also be considered the shining ones. You know, that's a part, and it's not that you precisely or forcefully are one of them. However, well, part of you is. But when I say about the shining ones, I'm not talking about, you know, the Anuna, because also they call the Anuna the shining ones. I'm talking about these plasma beings that have their tail, you know, like very etheric, like. So from those you do have codes actually, and so that's one thing. The other thing is that you're capable to actually use that energy or to bring into freedom that energy through a very specific preparation that you will be going through if you choose to. That preparation will also be of 4 stages. In those four stages, they will show to you how, and this is related to the rings, how to create unity within those things that seem that they are falling apart. You know, and that this may also be reflected in your life, or has been reflected in your life at some point. Bring unity in those things that are falling apart. And when you warm this with your bread of life, with your plasma breath, what you're doing is generating such a huge commitment of the information within these rings. You know, and information within these rings, as I was telling you, it's very important for you to activate them as well. Not only this, yet also this, when you start to tune into them, the dragon's language. And now, just to finish it, to see if you have any other question in connection to the moon. Let's say that you anchor in the moon, also very important information. And somehow that information is not that you need to go to the moon, by locate yourself, or, you know, do remote viewing there. Perhaps you can, you know, like if you choose so. The thing is that that information is also encrypted here in your brain in very specific neuronal paths that were put in dormant state. So you activating that, then you will unify a lot of the commitment that has brought you to this planet Earth, to bring safety to those who you have been protected for eons, and to empower yourself as that warrior that you have been for many embodiments now. And yeah, let me see if you have any questions before wrapping up. Okay, so just before wrapping up, Christy, do you have any question? Okay. Okay, I think you don't, so I will just wrap it up for now with Christy. If you have any question, any further question, Christy, just let me know in private, and I will be more than happy to give you some feedback. Okay, do I activate by speaking the triangle? Yeah. Please send to me a message so that I can send to you a frequency that will enable parts of your brain that will actually stimulate that sound to come through you. And then perhaps you will start just like mumbling what you while you are listening to the frequency until that strengthens enough for you to feel, that the the language is coming through you. That's one thing. Also, very important one. You need to get, well, if you feel like, you need to get a book, and in that book you will be writing the information that will be given to you from these four aspects that I shared with you. The first one, which is related to these etheric plasma beings before their entrapment as genes. The second one, the dragons. The fourth one, which is the rings, and yeah, the information that will be coming up once you activate this code in this back part of your head. And the fourth one, which is completing the cycle, is what did you encrypt in the moon, because that information will actually open up a lot of power that, like, all of this is related to your power, but that will open up a lot of power that perhaps you had left at some point in your connection with your feminine, because you were scared or afraid of it for it to come too strong, so yet that, imagine your feminine as this magnificent plasmic fiery force that is capable to bring peace. This is a very important word for you, keyword, peace, to your reality and to the ones that you love. So you can, so then again, like the frequency, getting your book, because once you get your book, then you will also know that whatever comes through your voice, when you start talking, the ideas will start to pop out as visions or as thoughts, perhaps in the moment, perhaps after. So it will be important for you to have that notebook specifically for that, and it will be very important also for you to encode and encrypt that book with hieroglyphs or symbols that you have already translated, and create a field of protection around it, because the information that we will be translating will actually be feeding a lot of the grid in relation, or the network in relation to these beings. And we know that a lot of people now are connecting to the dragons and so forth. However, to the genes, no. So this is quite primordial. And as I was saying, not as the genes, yet as their version before, as etheric beings. And because actually, when we relate these beings to the dragons, we can call both of them founders, so you have perhaps more connection to like, evidently to, like, let's say, more aware of it with the dragons. However, this is another aspect of you that will unlock a lot of doors with you and the magic, a level of magic that is known as, let's say, it's the name that is coming to me. I will write it down. Okay, I will write it down, and it's well, yeah, I will write it down to you. Yeah, that's why it's not. Yeah, because it's only for you. Okay, I will write down for you. I just will write it down, and then you can. Why I'm not saying if this is a kind of magic, because it had been a long time since it has been used. So the only frequency of that very same magic is to be, taken as a little baby, like it's just coming into this reality for a while. It had been a while. Okay. Well, yeah. Well, if there are any other questions, just let me know, Christy. Otherwise, I wouldn't have time to read all of them. I really extend. The good thing is that I was saying that it was going to be a small one. Okay. Yeah. Moving forward. Now we will go.